I was standing in the oak-paneled study I built with my own hands, staring down at a beige HR form with my name on it, Caleb T. Rourke, typed like I was just another expense to manage. It was Christmas Eve. My wife of 11 years sat behind her father's old desk, calm as a banker, and said, "Say sorry to Evan tonight, or your raise is suspended and your promotion gets pulled." Her voice was flat. No trace of the woman who used to wear my flannel in the kitchen at midnight, just pure boardroom tone. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. Evan Blake, 31, shiny new chief growth officer. The boy wonder Monica hired in June after some panel at Wharton. Yesterday, I'd taken a scalpel to his luxury wellness pivot pitch in front of the whole leadership team. Told him it was a pile of spa glitter that ignored churn rates and killed our community contracts. Apparently, bruised more than his little deck. I looked at Monica and asked, "What if I don't?" She didn't blink. Just slid the form toward me. Salary suspension starting tonight. Promotion to regional director on hold. Some HR note about tone alignment. It was already typed, already signed, ready for the file. I didn't shout, didn't flinch, just said one word. "All right." She narrowed her eyes like she was trying to read a road sign in a thunderstorm, like she expected me to fight or beg. She had no idea. 2 hours earlier, her father, Arthur Dane, had handed me a signed transfer packet. Managing Director, Europe, board approved, effective January 6th. Apartment in Ballsbridge already waiting, budget locked, all quiet, all legal, all ready. I left the study without another word, stepped past the caterers setting up foie gras sliders for the holiday party, and hit the elevator. The chrome doors closed on 2 decades of sweat, concrete, and steel. My company, my hands, my back. In the foyer mirror, I still looked the same. Square shoulders, windburned skin, tie a little crooked. A builder. But something had cracked. I was done explaining myself to people who didn't lay pipe or pour concrete. Done being cornered in my own house. I met Monica when I was 46, running field ops out of Joliet, splitting my nights between motel rooms and a dusty community college classroom where I was clawing my way through project finance. She was 34, fresh out of Kellogg, polished like a showroom floor, and already Arthur Dane's hand-picked rising star. She walked through a site visit in heels and didn't flinch when a pipe burst 5 feet from her leg. Afterwards, she said, "If we can scale without selling our soul, this company's got decades in it." I believed her. Dane infrastructure wasn't built for headlines. We laid pipe where the big boys didn't bother to bid. Municipal water systems for towns with 1 gas station and a busted Dairy Queen. Ugly projects, shallow margins. But we delivered. Always. On time, on budget, no bribes, no bailouts. Arthur used to say it plain. Safe water is not a luxury. Monica got that. Or at least she used to. Back then, we made a good team. I'd sketch a pump station with a pencil and a ruler. She'd polish it up in PowerPoint and sell it to the city council. I bled suppliers for a few percentage points, then turned that into apprentice slots for local hires. She worked banking contacts for better interest rates. For 5 years, we doubled revenue without changing the company name, without bloated overhead or strategic partners. We just worked. Then came the magazine covers. Glossy spreads about modernizing legacy systems, with Monica in a hard hat that had never seen a job site. Podcasts, tech panels, features with titles like Daughter of Water and How a Second-Gen COO Turns Infrastructure into Gold. She said it was good press. I told myself it was harmless. 6 months ago, she brought Evan Blake into the fold. Harvard, Accenture, flashy decks. His proposal? Ditch the town work. Pivot to wellness campuses, hydrotherapy environments, and luxury water solutions. Code for rich people, spas with overpriced tile. I told her Evan's math ignored upkeep, staffing churn, failure risk on 3-year projections. She said I was being old school, 2 months later, I started noticing a different cologne clinging to her suit jackets, sharp and synthetic, not anything I owned. She started stepping out for late-night calls, standing on the balcony with her back to the glass. Her voice dropped to a softer register I hadn't heard since our first year of marriage. We stopped bumping into each other in the kitchen, and when we didn't make contact. I told myself we were both just tired. Then one Thursday, I came home early from Peoria. Flight got canceled, roads were clear, and heard a laugh from her office. That laugh, the one I'd only ever heard when we were out of town, end of a long vendor night, just the two of us, 3 bourbons in. Evan walked out of her office buttoning his shirt, saw me, didn't speak, just gave a half nod and kept walking. I said nothing. I slept in the guest room and started a notebook. I logged everything for 18 weeks. Dates, expenses, decks, edits, slips. Evan's fabricated ROI projections that changed depending on the crowd. Hospitality expenses, $14,800 on the corporate card at a Scottsdale resort that doesn't host city infrastructure events. A $6,450 Rolex client gift shipped to our house in Monica's name. Every page was for insurance, not revenge. Because I knew Monica's style. She doesn't yell, she doesn't give warning shots. When she cuts, it's clean, fast, always with a smile for the next room over. I wasn't going to let her paint me as the problem when the curtain dropped. I closed the notebook, slid it into the drawer, and that's when Monica called me upstairs. 5:20 on the dot. Christmas Eve, punctual. Downstairs, the party was waking up. Carols bleeding through the vents, glassware clinking, voices doing that careful dance where everyone pretends they're not talking work. I took the stairs 2 at a time. No reason to look hesitant now. Evan was already in the study, leaned against the window like he was waiting for a camera cue. One ankle crossed, jacket open, all confidence borrowed from other people's resumes. Monica sat behind the desk, centered, composed, hands folded like this was a vendor meeting. She didn't waste time. "You need to apologize to Evan tonight," she said, "for disrespecting senior leadership in yesterday's review." I waited. She kept going. "You'll acknowledge your approach was combative. You'll commit to better collaboration. If you do that, the HR form goes in a drawer." I nodded once. Still didn't speak. "If you don't," she said, "your salary is suspended effective tonight, and your promotion is delayed pending culture alignment." I asked, "Can I see the complaints?" "They're in process," she said. "Who filed them?" "Multiple sources." That told me everything. One person, one shared document. Evan cleared his throat and stepped off the window. "We need to move as one brand, Caleb," he said, like he was explaining gravity. I looked at him. One brand doesn't mean one brain. He smiled tight. Monica didn't. She stood up and walked around the desk. I watched her heels cross the rug. She stopped next to Evan, close enough that their sleeves touched. It wasn't dramatic. It was worse than that. It was efficient. That was the moment I saw the choice get made. Not about love, not even about loyalty, about who she thought could make her bigger. I felt something settle in my chest, not anger, clarity. I said, "All right." Monica's shoulders eased, just a fraction. Evan's mouth curved into a smirk he didn't bother hiding. "You'll handle it at the party?" she asked. "I'll handle it," I said. She nodded. "Good." "We'll talk after," Evan added. "Appreciate your flexibility." I didn't answer that. I turned and walked out before either of them could add conditions. My shoes were quiet on the stairs. Down below, someone laughed too loud. Someone dropped a tray and swore, then apologized. Normal life kept moving. The elevator doors slid shut, sealing me into brushed steel and soft lighting. I watched the floor numbers drop. My phone buzzed in my hand like it had been waiting. I typed one message to Arthur. "It's time." The elevator hummed. I stood straight, tie loose, pulse steady. 30 years of job sites had taught me how to wait without flinching. My phone buzzed again before the doors opened. "I'll stand up when you speak." I slid the phone back into my pocket as the elevator dinged and the doors parted. I stepped out into the noise and light of the party, already walking. The string quartet was posted up by the staircase, playing something soft and expensive. caterers passed crab cakes on little slabs of slate. Through the tall windows, snow came down just right, quiet and slow, like a postcard someone actually mailed. I walked through the crowd without touching anything, grabbed a ginger ale, nodded to the bartender, and made my way to the back wall near the ops crew. Men and women who worked with their hands, who knew what raw sewage smelled like and how to fix it. Calloused knuckles, clean, hard hats. The reason this company had a name at all. My people. Arthur sat near the big tree, cane hooked over the arm of his chair. He looked older than I'd ever seen him, skin like paper, eyes dulled with effort. But when he caught my eye, he nodded once. Firm. That was enough. I turned just as Monica and Evan came down the staircase like royalty arriving. Monica had her CEO face on, chin high, smile tight, dress tailored to signal control. The room shifted, conversations dipped, heads turned, even the music sounded quieter. Monica walked straight over, touched my elbow lightly. "Let's do it," she said under her breath, like we were on the same side. I took one last sip, handed the glass off, and walked to the DJ table. "Can you cut the music for a minute?" I asked. He looked at Monica. She nodded. He hit the fader. I picked up the mic. It was heavier than I expected. My heart wasn't racing. No sweat on my palms, just still. "I've got a quick announcement," I said, voice steady, clear. People turned. Forks stopped halfway to mouths. "I'm resigning from my role as Director of Field Integration, effective tonight." The silence was instant, like someone had sucked the air right out of the room. "I've accepted Managing Director Europe, Dane Infrastructure Ireland. It's board approved," I said. "We'll be expanding municipal water services out of Dublin. I start January 6th. A few people glanced at each other, confused. Others just stared. If you're a builder who gives a damn about real work, my door will be open there too. I didn't look at Monica, but I felt her move. She stepped forward fast, heels clicking like gunshots. "That position doesn't exist," she said, loud enough to carry. That's when Arthur stood. No rush, no drama, just solid. He rested one hand on the chair back, the other on his cane. "It exists," he said, voice calm, but cutting through the space like a blade. "I signed it. It goes to the Secretary of State on the 27th. Evan's smirk cracked clean off his face. He looked like a dog that heard the food bowl hit the floor, but realized it wasn't his turn. Monica's mouth opened, then closed. She looked at Arthur like she just realized the old man still had a spine and wasn't using it on her behalf. I didn't need to say anything else. I stepped back, handed the mic to the DJ, and returned to the back wall. My people didn't say a word. They just nodded one by one. That was louder than applause. I hadn't made it 20 feet from the DJ table when Monica came in hot. She grabbed my arm just past the double doors and hissed low through her teeth. "You blindsided me." I turned and faced her full on. "You tried to bench my paycheck to save face for a guy who can't read a pump schedule." Her jaw clenched. "You're abandoning the family business." I laughed once, short, sharp. "No, I'm protecting it. Out there, where it still means something, you and Evan are burning trust in here for LinkedIn posts and fake projections." Arthur caught up slower. His cane tapped hard on the tile with each step. When he reached us, his hand trembled, but his voice didn't. "Monica," he said steady, "you don't suspend a man's pay because he's right." She went silent. Evan didn't. "That was insubordination," he said, voice puffed up, like he thought the title made him taller. "Take it up with the board," I said, calm as a blueprint. "Half of them already saw my memos. You think your little wellness pilot's gonna hold up under scrutiny?" Evan opened his mouth, then shut it again. He was figuring out I hadn't come unarmed. People nearby were pretending to eat, hovering near the buffet, piling finger foods they weren't touching. They were listening, every single one of them. Monica folded her arms. "You don't get to frame this like you're some martyr." "I'm not a martyr," I said. "I'm the guy who still knows what this company does. You just sold out the towns that built it." Arthur turned to her then, slow, deliberate. "You want to change strategy? Fine. You want to chase luxury? That's your choice. but don't act shocked when someone calls it what it is." She looked at him like he'd slapped her, but Arthur just stood there, silent, steady. I didn't wait for Evan to puff back up, or for Monica to spin it. I walked to the DJ table, left the mic right where I found it, and shook hands with 3 foremen on my way out. One of them gripped mine tight and said, "It's about time, Caleb." I just nodded. By the door, our safety manager's wife hugged me. Didn't say anything, just hugged me like someone who knew something real had shifted. Then I stepped into the snow. It was coming down heavier now, sticking to the shoulders of my coat and the tops of my shoes. My truck was already running, engine warm, bag in the back, key card for the airport hotel in my pocket. Room booked under a name Monica wouldn't think to search. At the coat check, I pulled out my phone. 19 missed calls in 40 minutes, 10 from Monica, 5 from Evan, 4 from numbers I didn't recognize. I turned the phone face down on the passenger seat and pulled onto the road. Windshield wipers thudding in rhythm, snow melting fast against the glass. Didn't look back, didn't need to. I landed in Dublin on the 7th, gray sky, cold air, jet lag already crawling up the back of my neck. Customs was fast, my name was on a little white sign, and the driver didn't ask questions. Good, I didn't have answers anyway. The apartment in Ballsbridge looked like a model unit, modern, clean, not a speck of dust. Still smelled like fresh paint. But someone had stocked the fridge with brown bread, butter, and 4 eggs in a carton, like they knew I'd forget breakfast. Note on the counter, thick paper, neat handwriting. "Welcome, Caleb. Proper coffee is in the press." Mered, controller. I stood there for a full minute, hand on the counter, just breathing. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like I was being hunted in my own house. Our office near Grand Canal was 3 floors above a dry cleaner. No branding, no glass sculptures. Just light and space and a table big enough to spread blueprints. 8 people to start, real ones. Aowife handled permits and never used 5 words when 2 would do. Thomas was estimating. Quiet, sharp, brutal, on waste. Luca ran controls, the kind of guy who sees leaks on a digital map, like veins in a body. Fiona was client liaison, half charm, half hammer. And then 4 young engineers, fresh boots, curious eyes, still excited by submittals. We shook hands. No corporate video. No icebreaker games. We rolled out the maps, picked counties the big players skipped. Offaly, Clare, Meath, bits of Louth. We picked by one rule, fix the broken first. First week, we scoped a cracked trunk main, feeding 3 towns in Offaly. Next, chlorination upgrades in Clare, where the levels were borderline. Then a lift station outside Drogheda, long past dead, that had locals boiling water every other day. Nothing glamorous, all necessary. By March, we'd signed 2 framework agreements with small utilities. By April, a design-build contract with a 3rd. No champagne, no headlines, just real work, drawings that made sense. Pay apps submitted on time. Crews that showed up early and left clean. The Irish teams laughed at my Midwest slang. I learned what press meant, what crack wasn't. I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes. Back in Chicago, word filtered over. 3 senior supervisors quit after Evan tried to redirect budget to his Scottsdale wellness pilot. A 4th sent me a blurry photo of a whiteboard in the break room. Someone had written, "Hydrate the rich," then crossed it out. In May, Arthur called me. The connection was rough. His voice was tired but still carried weight. "Monica's dug in," he said. "Evan has me in meetings about markets I can't even pronounce. Sectors that don't exist outside of DEX." I waited. He kept going. "The board is patient," he said, "but patience has limits." I didn't promise him a miracle. I said, "Dublin will deliver numbers, not noise." He exhaled like he'd been holding that breath since December. "Do that," he said. "Give the company a spine again." I hung up, walked back into the meeting room, and pointed at the lift station near Drogheda. "Let's put boots on it tomorrow," I said. Aowife nodded. "Rain's coming." "Perfect," I said. "Then we'll see how bad it really is." The rain hit sideways that morning in Drogheda, and we were knee-deep in a bypass trench when my phone buzzed. Anonymous compliance message, flagged urgent. Do you have knowledge of any potential expense irregularities related to U.S. leadership? I wiped mud off my screen with the inside of my sleeve and read it again. No greeting, no signature. Just straight to it. I answered plain. Yes, I've kept logs. I won't volunteer them unless the company's future depends on it. No bluff, no threat. Just a line in the sand. 2 weeks later, Aoif walked into the office holding a white paper bag and a folded newspaper. She dropped both on the table, pointed to a little column on the back of the business section. Your Chicago lot have some crate going on, she said. It was a trade blurb, half a paragraph buried between conference ads. Leadership review underway at Dane Infrastructure following internal financial audit. That was enough. My inbox started lighting up. Thought you should know? Off the record, but stay low for now. The board had hired an outside firm to start pulling expense reports and card histories. It didn't take long. $162,000 in business development spend that looked more like five-star hotels, spa packages, and designer watches. A consulting contract for Evan's cousin that paid $20,000 a month for vague, strategic visioning. They didn't even try to hide it well, just rode the illusion until someone forced the stop. The board scheduled an executive session for the first week of September. Real agenda, no fluff. Monica emailed me once before it. Subject line, we need to talk. I replied with one line, please direct all communication through counsel. She didn't follow up. 2 days later, Evan posted a photo of himself in a rented red Ferrari with the caption, earn not given. I didn't click it. Thomas showed me on his phone during lunch, laughing into his tea. The night before the vote, Arthur called me. He didn't say hi, just started talking. I failed her, he said. I sat on the edge of my bed, looking out over the canal. You didn't fail her, I said. People choose. He went quiet. I let him sit with it. Our job, I said, is to build something that outlasts the bad stretches. He cleared his throat. If the board asks you to come back, would you? Depends what you want built. He didn't push, just said, all right, and hung up. By mid-September, Monica resigned with a tight 2-sentence statement about new horizons and professional growth. Evan left a week later. No mention of wellness campuses this time, just pursuing ventures. The press releases were polite, clinical, scripted, but the folks in muddy boots back home, they weren't polite. Someone sent me a photo of the Chicago break room, same whiteboard. New words in black marker. We're back to work. That matters. The letter came 3 days after the board vote, but Arthur didn't get to see it land. He passed that winter, quietly, in his sleep. No drama, no hospital scene, just didn't wake up. The man who built Dane with calloused hands and one rule, don't overpromise, just deliver, was gone. I flew back for the memorial. Wind off Lake Michigan, sharp enough to cut through wool. Service was at a small church in Evanston. Third pew on the left, no reserve signs, just quiet respect. Monica sat up front, straight back, black suit, unreadable face. She turned once, caught my eye, and nodded. That was it. No wave, no words. After the service, a careful man in a tan overcoat and thick glasses approached me near the side chapel. Benton, Arthur's estate lawyer, always looked like he was mid-audit, even at funerals. He handed me an envelope. Per Arthur's instructions, he said. Inside was a single-page letter. Arthur's handwriting had thinned, but it was still sharp. Caleb, if you want it, the board will make you CEO. I left you 36% voting shares to clear the way. If Dublin is your home, keep building there. Either way, do it for the towns. Arthur. I stood outside the church a long minute, staring down at the signature, wind pulling at the corners. 2 days later, Patricia called. She didn't lead with small talk, just said, if you want the chair, I'll step aside. I could hear warehouse noise behind her, a pallet jack maybe. She was calling from the floor, grease under her nails, always. No performance. No drama, I asked. No drama, she said. Just do the work. I took a long walk that night along the canal, cold mist on the water, boots crunching against gravel. I thought about Dublin, how it had started to feel like a place, not a stop. I thought about that kid last week, one of our junior engineers. We were on site in Galway, and he asked why we were rebuilding a nasty pump station during freezing rain. I told him, because people live there. Simple as that. Next morning, I called Patricia back. "You're the right one for Chicago," I said. "I'll run Europe. We'll meet in the middle and keep the mission." She was quiet. Then, "Let's get to work." I signed the share paperwork that afternoon. Not as a crown, just stewardship. Quiet responsibility. No announcements. Monica's attorney sent over a one-page acknowledgement of the transfer. Just her name, a timestamp, and confirmation of the vote shift. Her signature was small, crisp, almost like she was bracing at her own name. I stared at it for a beat, then filed it away without comment. The best payback I found wasn't loud. It didn't come with headlines or applause. It came on a gray morning in County Meath, at a ribbon cutting for a water treatment plant that keeps 9,400 people from boiling water on their stoves every night. No podium, no corporate backdrop. The mayor shook my hand with both of his, looked me in the eye and said, "You gave us something that works." A kid in a blue school polo tugged my jacket and asked, "How do the filters know what to catch?" I told him, "They don't know. They're built that way." Back in the office, my office now, I've printed out a photo someone snapped that day. She taped it to the wall over the project board. A line of workers in high-vis jackets, all standing on a clean concrete slab with rain in the air and big dumb grins on their faces. Someone scrawled above it in black Sharpie, "Work that matters. Best slogan I've seen. Way better than any deck Evan ever tried to sell." Monica emailed me in March, nearly 2 years after that party. Said she was in therapy. Said it helped her face what she'd done. No excuses, no asks, just ownership. I stared at the screen for a bit. Then I wrote back, "I hope you keep doing the work," and I meant it. Some doors stay closed without bitterness. You just learn when to stop knocking. Patricia's fixing Chicago, quietly, efficiently. She brought back 3 supervisors Evan had shoved out. Killed the Scottsdale wellness mess before the board even needed to vote. She published a dry, perfect org chart with lines that made sense and zero fluff. Our crews say morale feels like it did in 2014. Focused, straightforward, solid. That's the kind of revenge that sticks. Not a burn it down, a build it right. Evan popped up on another firm's website last month. Different city, same grin. Now listed as a strategic catalyst. A foreman sent me the link with a thumbs up emoji. I didn't open it. Some things don't need my eyes anymore. Every now and then, though, I think about that Christmas Eve, the HR form, Monica's voice going cold. That moment she turned into a COO and not my wife.